So in 2020, I dropped out of Christian college. I was going to Moody Bible Institute, and I came home from Chicago completely broken and proceeded to change my entire personality so fast that everyone that knew me was very concerned. Even if they liked the changes that were happening, they could tell I wasn't in a good place, and it kind of freaked everyone out, and fair enough, but I'm going to talk about why it happened the way it did. And this is going to be kind of like an open letter and what I would say to all the people that I left behind at Christian college, especially if they just don't get where I'm coming from or don't really understand what I did, or even if they're thinking about deconstruction, you know. I'm just going to kind of explain the mindset that I was in and why that change happened externally so quickly. There'd been a lot of buildup internally. And in general, I've always been a really black and white type of person. I go all the way one way or all the way the opposite way, and I fully commit to whatever decision I am going to make. So basically, I attended Moody Bible Institute for 2 years, and I dated a guy, and we were going to move to China after we graduated, and we were going to be missionaries together. And I was trying so hard to fit myself into a mold that I just was not fitting. I was not understanding the classes, the topics, and the more that I studied the Bible, the less it made sense, and the more contradictions I found, and the more I felt like I was playing a role, or like I was an imposter in my own life, because I didn't really feel like I was good enough for this college or all the people around me. You know, I was really experiencing some intuition that said this wasn't right. But when you're surrounded by a group of people, like a large group of people, that are all saying the opposite thing, you don't recognize it as intuition. You recognize it as, I'm not good enough. I am crazy. I am not with the program when I should be with the program, and there is something wrong with me because I am not feeling the Holy Spirit here. And I just... yeah, I felt like like one of those little children's toys where you put the star in the star hole and the square in the square hole and so on. I felt like I was like the star and you're trying to shove it into the square hole, and I was just trying to chop off little pieces of myself until I could fit inside the circle hole, and it just never worked. It never worked, and eventually it all just collapsed around me, and I just felt like I had too many doubts to really justify going overseas and spreading the gospel. Like, I felt like I wasn't really equipped to do that. So I told my boyfriend about my doubts, and a couple weeks later, after he'd had some time to think about it, he broke up with me, and that was the last thing I was holding on to before I was gonna drop out. I was gonna try it again for him, but he could tell that I was there for him, and that's not really good reason to stay at a Christian college and to dedicate your life to mission work for someone else. It's just not, and he could tell that, so he broke up with me. And when I came home, I was like so completely shattered. Like, my identity had been just taken away because I had defined myself for like 10 years by, I'm gonna be a missionary one day, and I'm this chosen person by God. It really gives you a martyr complex, really gives you like a chosen one complex that sounds cool, but in reality just makes you really fucking lonely. And the fact that I was autistic was also playing a part into this. Christianity kind of helped mask my autism because I thought that I was weird because I was a Christian, but I was really weird because I was autistic, but that's a whole different rant. We're talking about why I left today. So basically, I get home and I just felt like God had abandoned me. I had done everything that God had asked, and I just couldn't be this person that I felt like I was supposed to be. And I had spent so long trying to be this person that I felt like I was supposed to be, instead of just doing what I want, so long that I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. And when I got home, I really felt like I had nothing left to lose, and I was just so unhappy. And I just kind of thought, I'm going to do a little experiment. Following God's will for my life has left me miserable and broken and underqualified and not right for this. But what if I just do an experiment and I do all the things that I have ever wanted to do when I was a Christian but couldn't, and see if my life falls apart like the Bible said, because my life's already fallen apart, so I really have nothing to lose. Might as well have my life fall apart and go be gay too. So basically, I got home, I started dating men and women and non-binary people, found out I was pansexual and everything, and yeah, I really went off the deep end. Externally to everyone around me, what it looked like is that I had been a very faithful, diehard Christian, and then I got home and suddenly I was doing drugs. I was in a polyamorous relationship that was really, really toxic and very unhealthy for me, and I was just shattered. I had no identity, and I was really unrecognizable to my family and friends at that point. And you know, it did get better, but it got worse before it got better. But by then, at least the worst that it got, I was still free. I was still choosing my own way. And it was bad because I didn't have an identity, but I was slowly starting to build one. And what I found is that I wasn't miserable dating like men and women like Christianity said that I would. You know, I felt like I would lose God's blessing in my life, and really if he had a plan for me at all, then he would come through and he would show up in my life, and you know, he would show me that what I was doing was you know, not as good as following his will. But I found the opposite. What I found is that when I came out as pansexual and I started dating all these people and I started really coming into myself, it felt right. It wasn't like dating women put a curse on my life. It was like a weight that I had been carrying since 8th grade had just fallen off my shoulders, and something that I really just couldn't keep down and couldn't keep hidden anymore. Like, I felt like I had no other choice but to go and come out as gay, because I just couldn't handle emotionally hiding this part of myself anymore and repressing this part of myself. I really felt like I had no other choice, and like I was just gonna see where it led. And where it led wasn't where I thought it would. Where it led was to something that felt a lot more like freedom than Christianity ever did. And so, you know, things got worse for a little while before they got better. Like I said, I was emotionally self-harming, basically, with this relationship that I was in. But eventually I did leave, and eventually I did slowly start to discover the things that I really enjoyed doing that were not related to Jesus. And I slowly started piecing myself back together from scratch. So it's a really unique experience having like your entire worldview and your entire reality just pulled out from underneath you. And I found a lot of you know, people that have related to me, with people that have left cults, people that were drug addicts and now they're sober, people that have experienced mental illness or tragedy or something that has just completely pulled the rug out from underneath them and caused them to completely have to rebuild their entire frame of mind, their entire identity, their entire life from scratch. I have found a lot of similarity and community with those people, and a lot of support from people online that have gone through something like that. But it's truly something that you can't really describe going through. It leaves you very different, and it's a very weird feeling. You feel really, really disconnected from who you were before, and it is traumatizing, but it's also so freeing. And I can't believe that I'm where I'm at, you know. So if you're thinking about deconstructing, you don't have to deconvert, but you can think about, is this making me happy? Like, are the decisions that I am making leading to my joy and well-being? Because even if God is real, he doesn't want you to be unhappy and suffer, and he's not going to call you to something that makes you miserable. So I would encourage you to, you know, examine your beliefs and see where they come from, and if you're doing what you think you should instead of what you actually think will make you happy, because that's what I was doing and it left me miserable. And now I feel like I am so much more happy and so much more free. And so I really encourage you guys to do the hard thing and question what you believe and question how your life is going and see if you can make it better, because I guarantee you can.